The story of Saint Norbert, Bishop.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Have you ever had a moment that shook you so deeply it changed everything about your life? Well, today we're talking about someone who lived exactly that kind of transformation. His name is Norbert, a man who started out chasing wealth and comfort, only to become one of the Church's boldest reformers. Let me tell you his story. Norbert was born around the year 1080 in a place called Xanten. That's in modern-day Germany. His family was noble and wealthy, so from the very beginning, Norbert had it pretty easy. He had money, respect, opportunities, and people expected him to climb the ladder of power in the Church. Now, here's the thing. Norbert did become a church official, but not because he felt called by God. It was more like a career move. It gave him status, freedom, and plenty of luxury. He dressed in fine clothes, loved parties, and didn't really take his faith all that seriously. To put it simply, Norbert was a priest in title, but not in spirit. But then, something happened. One day, while he was riding his horse during a storm, a bolt of lightning struck the ground near him. It was so close, it knocked him clean off his horse and left him unconscious in the mud. When he came to, everything felt different. It was like God had reached out and grabbed his attention. And Norbert listened. From that moment on, he turned his life around. He gave up his wealth, he left behind his comfortable position, and he began to live simply, dedicating himself fully to God. But he didn't stop there. Norbert started walking, yes, walking, from town to town, preaching, and he didn't sugarcoat his message. He called out corruption in the Church. He challenged priests who were more interested in money than in caring for people. He urged everyone, clergy and regular folks alike, to live lives of humility and honesty. As you might guess, not everyone liked what he had to say. Some priests saw him as a troublemaker, others accused him of being extreme. But Norbert kept going. He believed the Church needed to be purified, brought back to its roots, and he wasn't afraid to pay the price. Now, Norbert didn't just preach. He wanted to build something that would last. So in the year 1120, he founded a new religious community called the Premonstratensians, sometimes called the Norbertines. These were men who lived in community, prayed together, served the poor, and went out preaching with joy and discipline. They weren't hidden away from the world. They were right in the middle of it, trying to be a light. Then, a few years later, Norbert was called to a new mission. He was chosen to be the Archbishop of Magdeburg, a big, messy city with a lot of spiritual confusion. At first, people resisted him. Some even locked him out of the cathedral. But Norbert was patient. He didn't yell or threaten. He just kept showing up, loving people, preaching truth, and eventually they let him in. And he got to work. He cleaned up corruption, cared for the poor, trained good priests, and helped bring peace between divided groups in the city. He didn't just wear the robes of a bishop, he lived the heart of one. Norbert's life wasn't easy. He was misunderstood, opposed, and often tired. But he never gave up on what God had asked of him. He died in 1134, but his legacy lived on through the communities he founded and the reform he inspired. So, what can we learn from Saint Norbert? Well, maybe a few things. First, it's never too late to change. Norbert was living a selfish, worldly life until God broke through. Second, real faith isn't about titles or appearances. It's about loving truth, serving others, and living humbly. And third, sometimes doing the right thing makes you unpopular. But if you keep showing up with patience and love, you can make a difference. Saint Norbert started as a man chasing comfort and ended as a man chasing holiness. And that's a journey worth remembering. Thanks for listening to the story of Saint Norbert. Until next time, keep your heart open, stay curious, and don't be afraid to start over when God calls.